most people say I live in the gym as a phrase. I lived there.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a mad time in my life. It's a personal journey, you know, you have to be a bit selfish in boxing, and it is about me. You know, it's my life. And then just randomly one day I thought it was a wind up, I get a phone call. I was like, alright Dylan, how would you be fixed to spar Conor McGregor for his next fight? And I'm like, you know, what is going on here? I'm like, of course, I'd love to. Catskills Resort, big casino, Dylan Moran's fighting Dennis O'Cott. Yeah, and it went horribly wrong. I got knocked out in the third round, and it was the worst week of my life. He actually said, I spoke to someone high up in the government. This was a powerful man, and he said Angela Merkel. And she said to me, this was at the beginning of COVID, this is here for a long time. And we all thought it was going to go,
They knew.
But we all thought, and I thought, it was going to go away in 2 weeks. Everybody did it at the beginning. This is the very beginning. It just goes with everything else in the world. The world's gone crazy. God knows what's going to happen next. You know, when the first happened, I didn't really agree with it, I wouldn't think. But at the moment, I'm like, look, this is the way the world is going, and if you don't go with it, well, then you're going to get left behind. You know, you have to save yourself in this world. Everybody can give you all the advice, and, you know, but you got to do it for yourself.
Information covered up, censorship, corruption. The mainstream media have proven itself to be untrustworthy. I'm here to give a platform for debate, for truth, for open discussion. I'm introducing you to my podcast, Silenced with Tommy Robinson.
Who exactly is Tommy Robinson, or Stephen Yaxley-Lane?
With the English Defence League, the EDL.
The problem is with Islamic invasion.
English far-right Islamophobic activists.
Since then, there's been organised protests across the country in London, Manchester, Leeds. People in their thousands are marching for Robinson's cause.
There is no such thing in this country as a Muslim.
Free Tommy Robinson!
Born on December 4th, 1994 in Waterford City, Dylan Moran started boxing at the age of 8. He tried his hand at kickboxing in his early 20s before switching to boxing in the amateur circuit. Going by the moniker of the Real Deal, Dylan started competing professionally in 2017. He is also well known for sparring UFC superstar and fellow countryman Conor McGregor. McGregor was impressed with the 26-year-old whom he referred to as a phenomenally exciting Irish talent. A career of some ups and downs, Dylan has remained focused and strives to achieve in his fight. Welcome to my latest edition of my podcast, Silence. I'm joined today by professional Irish boxer Dylan Moran.
Tommy.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it right. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be sat here.
Thanks for coming, mate. We have a mutual friend who's looking pretty good with himself at the minute, no?
Yeah, the bit of weight to him.
We have a mutual friend, so I'd heard about you.
Yeah.
I know you blew up recently, but I'd heard about you before. I'd heard about you training with Conor McGregor. I'd heard about a little. I think you had a little tiff with Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Couple little things. So I thought, as we're in the same country, I mean, I'm a friend. It'd be great to sit and hear your story.
Of course, and it's a pleasure to be sat here and go through it with you.
Thank you, bro. And we'll end on the most recent fight. Shall we?
Yeah. The heartbreak.
Yeah,
we will finish on that.
Should we finish on that?
Yeah, we'll finish on that.
So tell me, where are you from, Dylan?
So Waterford, Ireland, I would have grown up in, Tommy. Bottom south of Ireland, furthest point south you can get. And I've just been introduced to boxing from a very, very young age. 28 now, and that's all I've done since then.
Since how old?
Since as far as I can remember. So, you know, my dad used to run a gym. He used to be in there boxing himself, running the classes, and I was just brought along as a child. So from day dot, I've been putting boxing gloves on and in that environment.
What age did you start fighting, Joe?
Would have started having, you know, little tournament fights, probably about 8 or 9, I'd say.
How big's boxing in Ireland?
It's big.
Yeah,
it is. It's probably one of the best of the world sports back there. You can see why we've got numerous talents back, and, you know, a lot coming through. It's very exciting at the moment. But massive. You know, the Irish love a fight and all that crack. So boxing and Irish goes hand in hand.
And you've built a large following as well.
Yeah, I think it's just through my story. To be honest, it's been a mad few years. But
Did you have a big amateur career?
Had a good amateur career, yeah. And I know everybody says, I was done with bad luck, but I genuinely just had a bit of bad luck and a lot of heartbreak as an amateur. Could never just get across the line for different reasons, and I just turned my back on it and said I'm going to go professional.
Why you just go pro?
To be fair, going pro was always the goal. Always the goal. You know, I used to watch the pro boxing shows in Ireland as a kid with my dad, and I'd sitting on the end of the bed watching them, you know, on RT, and I'd be like, you know, that's what I'm gonna do. And I went and I done it.
What age?
I turned pro at, I think 21, but I finished amateur boxing at about 18. But I thought I was a bit too young at the time to go pro, so I ended up kickboxing. So I had about 85, 86 kickboxing fights, travelling the world.
How many?
About 85 or 86.
85?
Yeah.
Like kickboxing as well?
Yeah, all over the world. What an experience that was. And then when I felt the time was right and I was mature enough to go pro, I said, yeah, let's do it. And even that is a mad story, you know. I kind of, look, I grew up when you're in the gym and you're in sport, you've got a lot of discipline in your life. I had a great dad behind me. I had a great life, so I can't sit here and say any different. And my dad moved from the city out to the country to give us, you know, a better upbringing. But I hit my teenage years, and as you do, you know, curiosity killed the cat. I started getting into partying, turning my back on boxing and whatnot. And going down roads like that, they never end well, really, do they? And it didn't for me. But I had my turning point, and I said, this is it. I need to focus on my boxing, you know, go all in. And I packed a bag, bro, and I moved to Manchester, to Kieran Farrell's, and I lived in the gym for 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's where it all kicked off.
What years? Yeah, when you were 21.
Yeah.
And then who did you sign with?
So I signed with Kieran Farrell. I would have met him.
Whereabouts in Manchester was you?
Haywood.
Okay.
So literally went over. It's a mad story. Most people, you know, they just see like last weekend, you know, they see the bright lights, they see all the cameras and all that. Bro, Haywood isn't the nicest place in the world. Great place in Manchester, but it's just a bit rough.
Yeah.
Put a bed upstairs and slept in the gym. Most people say live in the gym is a phrase. I lived there.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a mad time in my life. Young, just out experiencing the world, and yeah, slept upstairs for 2 years.
And went for it?
Yeah, just went for it.
And how'd you get on? When was your first fight?
Do you know what? That was the foundation for what I went on to do. You know, Manchester's the home of boxing in England, really, isn't it?
That's
you know,
basic.
Yeah,
I love
you know,
Manchester as well.
boxing is held in high regard over there. And I earned my stripes over them, and it wasn't easy. Kieran used to bring me around to all these gyms, you know, and I've been in there with the best of them. And yeah, like I said, I learned my trade over there.
And when was your first fight?
Had my first fight. Where was my first fight? It was in Bowlers Arena in Manchester. Massive.
In Bowlers, do you know?
Yeah.
Mate, I had a book launch organised in Bowlers, yeah?
Yeah.
I sold 1,000 tickets in a week, £50 a ticket. 50 grand.
Yeah.
The police went in and put pressure on it to make them cancel.
Yeah.
Said they'd take away their alcohol licence. So I know Bowlers. And I went to a boxing event there recently. It's a wicked boxing show.
Yeah.
They do great shows.
Decent in there. Yeah, the atmosphere would be crazy.
Yeah.
But first fight was in Bowlers, and massive crowd come over from Ireland. You know, I'd moved away. I'd put my time in, done the training camp. Everybody come over, and what a buzz that was. What a night it was. Fought really well and won. And yeah, it all just kicked off from there. Really, fights came quick and fast with Kieran. And I was just fighting on the circuit over in Manchester. Really, you know yourself. You have to get your record up there.
Yeah.
And that's what we done.
You know when you were doing the kickboxing, did you ever hear of Andrew Tate when you was doing kickboxing?
Yeah, I did hear of Andrew Tate.
You knew of him back then?
Yeah, I did hear of Andrew Tate.
What level did you get to in kickboxing? I just thought about it then because I thought, I don't know any kickboxers, but if you was in kickboxing, you'd know.
Bro, I fought everybody kickboxing.
Did you?
I won what Irish titles there was to win. I won 2 European titles and 2 world titles.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, yeah. I've got all
wow.
the belts at home. And what a tough game. You know, boxing would be more of a skill set. Kickboxing for me was just kind of more rough and ready. You know, let's see who's more of a man in here kind of a thing. And that again stood to me for what I went on to do in boxing. But what a time it was. Some great people in kickboxing, some great experiences. And like I said, I travelled the world doing it.
And then you've gone to Manchester, started boxing career.
Started the boxing career in Manchester, yeah. And
Did you move out of the gym?
So yeah, so I gave it about a year and a half. I think it was coming on 2 years in Kieran's gym, and you know yourself, you just get the feeling when it's time to move on. So I'd been based in Manchester, and I was like, I need to start making a name for myself back home now. So I got in contact with people back home, and next one I got a fight on TV actually in Ireland, which was great. You know, a dream of mine to fight on terrestrial TV back home, TG4. That was on in Mayo. Went home, had that fight. I boxed really, really well. And a week later, I got a phone call saying that there was some promoter in America watching and he wants to sign you.
So you won. You won.
I won the fight,
okay.
yeah. A week later, still on a high, get a phone call. Joe the Guardian in America, Star Boxing, they want to sign you. So I'm like, you know, a kid from over, I'm living the dream. You know, Manchester's paid off, let's say.
Yeah.
Signed the contract quick and fast. And next thing, we're looking at a fight in America. Stayed at home to train for that one. I'd moved home, as I said, my time had come to an end in Manchester, and off we went to America, Tommy. You know, bags packed, me and my dad. Stephen.
Did you go?
Yeah, he was there. And
Okay.
Catskills Resort.
What year was this?
How many years ago was that?
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Okay.
Big resort. Irish kid heading to America. I'm living the dream,
Yeah,
bro.
wicked,
Trust me,
man.
you know what I mean? It was amazing. Walking on air. Catskills Resort, big casino. Dylan Moran's fighting Dennis O'Cott. Yeah, and I went horribly wrong. I got knocked out in the third round, and it was the worst week of my life. For everything to have been going so good to then just come crashing down again, and it's that kind of sequence that's just been repeating since I went professional.
And how'd you deal with that? At that
Well, it was
time,
the worst week of my life.
You must be you're going to Ireland. You've come to Manchester. You then go to America. You must be buzzing, but everyone in your community must be buzzing as well. Your family's buzzing.
The whole city is buzzing.
Yeah.
The buzz was amazing, and it all came crashing down. But I don't know. I look back on it and I honestly believe it was all meant to be. At the time, obviously, I didn't look at it like that. I thought my world had ended, man. Because I'm all in with this boxing game. I've got nothing else going on in my life. Do you know what I mean? It's just me and my gear bag. I'm ready to go wherever I need to go to make it happen. Yeah. And there I was in America, third round, got put to sleep. It is what it is. And yeah, like I said, moments like them and going through situations like them, they just harden you up as a person for what you're going to go on and do.
Did you carry on straight away or did you take a break?
No, I took a while off. Went a bit off the rails for a while, and you have to save yourself in this world. Everybody can give you all the advice, and but you got to do it for yourself. So bad luck after bad luck. I made a phone call, said I need to get my career back on track.
How long was you out for?
I'm going probably about 2 or 3 months was all.
Okay.
And got the itch, got a phone call. Said I need a fight. They say we can get you a fight in Mexico. I'm like, cool. My dad's gonna go with me. He's gonna go. The week before the fight, the two of them can't go. I said I'm gonna go alone. The promoter's like, you're gonna go to Mexico on your own. I was like, yeah, bro, I need to get my career kick-started again. I'm all in here. Flight to Los Angeles, 11 hours, getting in an Uber down to Tijuana, Mexico. I'm sitting in the dressing room 2 days later. The fight is about to happen in some nightclub. It was the maddest experience of my life, Tommy. So I'm sitting on a little bucket.
On your own?
On my own.
Totally on your own?
Yeah, after wrapping my own hands.
Where was you?
They just couldn't go.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going alone. I'm sitting in this dressing room, and I remember actually thinking that night, this isn't going to end well. I was jet lagged from the flight. I felt dehydrated.
How long had you been there before you met?
I'd only been there like 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
It was completely madness what was going on. But I'm looking out the window. These Mexicans are killing each other in the ring. The other Mexicans have got wife beater vests on them. They're smoking fags in there. They're drinking cans, and I'm thinking, yo, what am I have to sign up for? But the doctor comes in and goes, the fight's not happening. Your man's medical was never correct. So I'm sitting there at the other side of the world. When I look back on it now, I'm delighted that it didn't happen. But in the moment, I was like, are you for real? I've just travelled halfway across the world to get my career back on track, and now the fight isn't happening. And back to the hotel, sat on the bed for a fucking 4 or 5 hours, just thinking, what am I actually wasting my time here? Do you know what I mean? So I'm done with boxing again. I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna move on with my life, and I go home. And I stay out of the gym for a few months, and then I just get this random phone call out of the blue one time. Tom Dallas, is this Dylan Moran? I said, he said, Tom Dallas speaking. I was just wondering, would you be interested in going to Liechtenstein to spar Abbas Barrel?
To spar who?
Abbas Barrel.
Who's that?
He's a German fighter, really good European champion. I didn't know him at the time. I didn't know where Liechtenstein was. I didn't even know it was a place. And I was just thinking, do you know what? I'm at nothing else. I might as well. So the next thing I'm on a plane to Liechtenstein on my own.
And Liechtenstein is a small country next to us.
Yeah, it's a really, really small country. It's one of the richest countries in the world, actually. Between Austria, Germany and Switzerland. And I think when all the wars that went on years ago, they all agreed to keep their money there and no one would touch it.
Like Switzerland?
Yeah, some bit of a setup like that. But so I don't know what I'm going for. I got picked up at an airport in Germany by Bromovsky, who's the coach. And here we are driving through the mountains, and next thing the mountains open up and we come into this beautiful town. I've never seen anything like it. And the story was, over there, a millionaire called Pete Klein, who was a boxing fanatic, had put a camp together, and he'd handpicked some of the best fighters from around the world. He'd built this gym. I've never seen anything like it. And I was just brought in as a sparring partner. But most
for the German fella,
for the Abbas,
he was the same way as you did.
Yeah, he had a big fight coming up. When most sparring partners get brought in, Tommy, they just do the rounds and go to bed. I just got stuck into the training. I was beating them all on the track. I was going into the gym first, leaving last, and my week was up there. And I was about to go home. Next thing I get a knock on the door. And Pete wants to speak to you downstairs.
Pete's the investor.
He's the owner. And I go down and he goes, what's your setup, blah, blah, blah. I said, look, I'm actually in contract in America. And he bought me out of the contract in America. He said, I want to keep you here. I like what I seen of you all week. So I'm thinking, this is crazy. Like, you know, I was done boxing last week. He gets on the phone to a man in America, pays the money, buys me out of the contract. Now I'm living and training in Liechtenstein. Gets a brand new apartment, brand new car. I'm back on top of the world, bro. Literally, you know. Everyone's ringing me. How did you end up over there? Where even are you in the world? It was beautiful, and what a time that was in my life.
And he put you on a wage then, yeah?
Yeah, well, I'm money every month. Brand new car, brand new apartment. The first fight was a private event for millionaires and like TDs of Germany in Kitzbühel. It's like a skiing resort.
Okay.
And yeah, I've never seen an event like it. And we're in there all punching the heads off each other while all these millionaires are agreeing sponsorships for this new business they were launching. And yeah, it was just a mad time. The second fight then was against the German champion for a WBC belt. So this is it now. I've cracked it. You know what I mean? I'm in Liechtenstein. I'm making good money. It's finally paid off. Everything I've been through, I'm delighted now. I'm back happy again. Bro, done a 12-week camp. The week before the fight, COVID comes along and the company goes bust. And I get sent home. So next night I'm lying back in my old bedroom, looking at the ceiling, thinking...
Oh, you didn't get the fight?
The fight didn't happen. The company's gone bust.
So this is literally 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Start of COVID?
Yeah. And
what was the company? So the gym company went bust?
So basically he brought us into the office. We were getting a bad feeling anyway, and he said, guys, look, to keep you all here and run the gym, my outgoings are like, I think it was like 35 grand a month. He said, I just can't keep doing that. He actually said, I spoke to someone high up in the government. This was a powerful man, and he said, Angela Merkel. And she said to me, this was at the beginning of COVID, this is here for a long time. And we all thought it was going to go,
They knew.
But we all thought, and I thought, it was going to go away in 2 weeks. Everybody did it at the beginning. This is the very beginning. So it was like, hey, are you serious?
Okay.
He said, I speak to someone high up, and this is going to be here for a long time. I'll never forget him saying it because of what came of it. And yeah, he knew. And
well, they all knew, didn't they?
they all knew, bro.
They all
But next minute,
they planned it.
I'm at home, lying in my old bedroom, looking at the ceiling, thinking, what's after happening here?
You lost your job.
Life's just come crashing down again. You know, yeah, it's just been a telltale of like that constantly, Tommy, which is nuts. Even talking about it now, I'm thinking, how am I even still boxing? You know what I mean?
And not just boxing, you just had a huge fight.
I know, yeah. So
where did Jake Paul thing come in?
So I'm just trying to get the timeline of it all. So I finished Liechtenstein, and I'm done with boxing again. you know how it is. It's a love-hate relationship, isn't it? But no matter what happened, I can always say I always grabbed my bag and went back to the gym. It's just how I function in life at this stage, Tom. Even though if I haven't got a fight coming up, I'm just in the gym anyway for my mental health. Do you know what I mean? I believe everybody should. You know, you grab your bag, no matter what stresses or problems you have in life, grab your bag, go to the gym for 40 minutes, put yourself under a bit of pressure, and when you're coming back out that door,
you feel much better.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm a different person if I don't go gym.
And that will work for everyone, not just me and you. But that's always my answer. You know, everyone always says to me back home, oh, you're running all the time. You know, maybe you're running too much for a boxer. Like, I'm not running for boxing. I'm running because it sets me up for my day. You know, I put my earphones in, you know, and off you go. I come back and I feel brand new and do what I have to do then that day. But yeah, I come back from Liechtenstein. That was a big blow, if I'm being honest, because they had so much gone on. I'm like,
how long was you there? 2 years?
Yeah, I was there 2 years. It was a big part of my life, and what a time it was. It was amazing. You know, one of my fellas, a really good friend of mine now, Osley Iglesias, they had brought him from Cuba. He had no English, I had no Spanish. We became best friends, bro, living in the apartment. It was just a mad time. But yeah, I went home. I said, am I going ahead with this boxing still or what? And of course the answer was yes. Start getting a couple of fights here and there.
And this is at the start of COVID?
Yeah. Start getting a couple of fights. During COVID, actually, in Spain and places like that, there were still the promoters running small shows, and I thought I need to keep my name relevant. And I think that was the difference in me and a lot of other guys. They just said, oh, it's COVID, I'm just going to stay at home. In this game, you need to keep your name out there. So I done that the best I could. Couple of fights here and there, and then just randomly one day, I thought it was a wind up. I get a phone call. I was like, all right, Dylan, how would you be fixed to spar Conor McGregor for his next fight? And I'm like, you know, what is going on here? I'm like, of course, I'd love to.
What fight was this for?
Dustin Poirier.
Okay.
Number 2, I think. And I'm like, of course. I said, I've got a fight lined up in Spain next week, though, that I'll have to take care of first. And he's like, sweet, go have your fight and we'll speak afterwards. So I go to Spain, have the fight. And I remember lying in a hotel in Malaga the next morning as after winning. And I never thought that phone call was going to come, if I'm being honest. And next thing the phone rings. It's like, well done last night. Are you good to fly to Portugal? Like that Tuesday, the following Tuesday. I'm like, of course, my bag's packed, I'm ready to go. Next thing I'm in Portugal, bro. I'm McGregor's sparring partner. And yeah, it was a crazy time in my life. You just couldn't make it up, could you?
No, you couldn't, because that's ups and downs.
Yeah, and then me.
And McGregor must have been a hero to you.
Come on, like, I'm Irish, you know what I mean? I'm a fighter, it's Conor McGregor, you can only imagine. And I had to try and play the part and not act like a little fanboy, do you know what I mean? But what a time that was. We spent 6 weeks in Lagos in Portugal. This gym was like built into the cliff, a beautiful place. Obviously this was in the middle of COVID again, so it was really quiet out there. And a lot of work went on in them 6 weeks, but what an experience it was for me. Just I'd be always trying to learn, always trying to pick people's brains and just see how McGregor operates with his team and the way that they work and whatnot. And that was,
how does he operate?
That was unbelievable.
What's he like?
Bro, McGregor's an absolute gentleman, him and his family. I couldn't have been more welcome out there. And again, he's a guy like yourself. There'd been a lot of misleading headlines, a lot of stuff in the papers, and you know, the opinion I would have had then would have kind of been juggled from only things I'd seen in the media. Yeah. But I got to go and see him for myself, and I was like, I couldn't have been further from the truth, you know what I mean? So welcoming out there. And yeah, it was an amazing 6 weeks. Conor himself, like I said, really, really nice guy. And I'd pride myself on hard work. This guy's pulling up in a Lambo, all the money in the world, and getting on the mat like and grafting harder than anyone in the gym, and I suppose you have to respect that, don't you?
Yeah. Because I see some people say negatives about him since he's made all his money.
Yeah.
You see people throw negatives about it against everyone.
I think you can only take people from your own experience with them. You know, you can't ever judge someone off someone else's opinion. Well, I don't do that anyway. Yeah. And I've met Conor, an absolute gentleman. You know, listen, when I got bet last week, one of the first guys to text me. You know, he don't have to be texting me.
No, of course not.
Can you imagine how busy his phone is?
Yeah.
But just little things like that. But yeah, Portugal, 6 weeks out there, and I never even knew we were going to Dubai. I thought it was just Portugal. So next time we finished the last bar in Portugal, and they're like, right, we're going home for Christmas. And then we're flying to Dubai the first week in January, and I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, we're going for another 6 weeks in Dubai. And yeah, it was just all a bit mad, Tommy.
Loving it.
What's crazy about it is Conor's cutman, Andy O'Neill, he's my cutman as well. When we're leaving Portugal, there'd been a bit of beef going on with Jake Paul at the time with Conor, and we're on the back of the bus going to the airport, and Andy says to me, if this Jake Paul fella shows up over here, he says, you just deck him, make sure I have the phone on.
Will you just deck him?
Yeah, and you'll be alright, we'll get you out. And I'm like, Andy, don't even wind me up, I said, because if he does show up, I'm going to do that, you know what I mean? So at this point in time, Jake Paul hasn't a clue who Dylan Moran is. But it was just a conversation, Tommy.
Yeah.
So next thing we go to Dubai, anyway, we're training away as normal. And I think it was about 3 weeks in, and I'm in bed. We've sparring at 4 o'clock in the morning. Conor's getting his body clock ready, so we're sparring at mad hours. And I was obviously asleep. Next night I wake up, I'm in the bathroom brushing my teeth, and I can hear my phone buzzing. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So I go and I look at my phone. And Jake Paul had made the call out video about me, but everyone at home, because of the time difference, had seen it, and I didn't.
Why did he make the call out about you? What had he heard? What you said?
It was just trying to get to Conor about my knockout in America. This is who he's sparring.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so he's trying to mug him off.
Yeah, threw me and started mugging me off.
Okay.
And bro, I'm not even awake, Tommy. You know, I'm in the hotel room and I'm looking, and my phone's gone crazy, and I'm like, what's after happening? You can only try and comprehend that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was mad enough for me even just being in the camp, let alone next minute Jake Paul's put me all over the world. You know, I finally got a coffee, got awake, I'm all over TMZ in America, everybody's ringing me back home, and I was like, oh, this is a load of madness. And yeah, just a mad time in my life. And I was Conor actually messaged me, and he was like, my first reaction was I was angry about it. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, as you would be, you know, who does he think he is, blah blah blah. And Conor, being Conor and sensible, he said, look where you are now, bro, you're everywhere. Capitalise on it, you know, you're gone all over the world. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, right, what I'm going to do? off I go on my own, get a Lamborghini, get the phone out, make a video, and then that goes bigger than Jake's one. Yeah, and it makes things 10 times worse.
What did you say in the video?
I just said, you're disrespecting people, good people. I said the last number of weeks, me and you would go to Mayweather's gym. I said doghouse rules, and let's see how that works out for you. I said you make videos for a living, I fight, and it just went all over the place. And as you can imagine, YouTube went mad, and and it was just a whirlwind of fucking publicity from then on. If I'm being honest with you, I'm glad that's all behind me now, because I had to drive on with my own career. You know, it was kind of like you were just Connor's sparring partner, and I was like, I don't want to be that. And I remember one day, someone left a comment on Facebook. This was going on for months. I couldn't get away from it. Everywhere I went, it was Jake Paul. And someone goes, this guy's just going to be remembered for being Connor's sparring partner. And that really hit me. I was like, nah, that's not what it's supposed to be. I was happy to go and have that experience with Connor. I was more than happy to help him. But now I need to drive on with my own thing. Do you know what I mean? So I'm glad it's been and done. It's a closed chapter. But what a time it was.
What do you think of the whole Jake Paul thing? What do you think of the whole YouTuber boxing Connor fight?
It just goes with everything else in the world. The world's gone crazy. God knows what's going to happen next. You know, when the first happened, I didn't really agree with it, I wouldn't think. But at the moment, I'm like, look, this is the way the world is going, and if you don't go with it, well, then you're going to get left behind.
I went to their first fight night in the first YouTuber one. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, when it was in Manchester.
Right.
It was good.
Yeah,
it was fucking good. I took my son.
Like, if I'm being honest with you,
it was good.
I didn't know who Jake Paul was before the video, being straight.
Okay.
But when I looked into him, and you have to respect what he's after doing. The guy's a multi-millionaire. He's a marketing genius. And I tip my hat to anybody like that. You know, whether he's slagged me off on YouTube or not. You know what I mean? Fair play to you, bro. You know, crack on and get what you can from this life.
So all that's blown up. So then, what'd you do? Kick on with your own career?
So all that blew up, and then I got home, and I was just had my own career back in my hands again. You know, what's next? Like I said, I needed to move on from that, and I signed with Frank Warren. Did
all of this, you blowing up off the back of the Jake Paul thing, help getting you signed by Frank Warren?
Without doubt, that has helped me with everything I've gone on to do, and I've no problem in saying that. But at the same time, I got into that situation through my hard work, if that makes sense. Like I said, keep myself relevant in COVID, kept going back to the gym after all them mishaps I've mentioned here. Yeah. I could have threw my gear bag away or packed in boxing at any of those situations I told you, and I would have been justified. Do you know what I mean?
And many would have done.
Yeah, but I didn't. I kept going. And next time I've signed with Frank Warren, and that was a big deal for me because I'm a boxing fanatic since I'm a young kid, and you know there'd been no pro boxers in the city I'm from, and you know, from day one of putting a glove on, for me to get to Frank Warren, it's a long journey. But here I am, I'm in his office, and I signed with Frank, moved back to Manchester to train with a different coach, and up until then I had kind of had the reins on my career all the time. I was in control. Like, I've managed and promoted myself to where I am today, which is mad to say. But next time I signed with Frank, couldn't say a bad word about Frank, but I just didn't like how things were going. You know, I had one fight, I moved my whole life to Manchester. I'm thinking, now that I'm with Frank, I'm finally going to get the big fights. I wanted the big fights, do you know what I mean? I'm done fighting these guys that I know I'm going to beat. No disrespect to them, but I want the big fights. It's time to push on now. Moved my whole life to Manchester. Had my first fight in Birmingham. Fight is drawn closer and closer and closer. I have no opponent. Next thing they give me a guy that isn't really a big name, and that just kind of done it for me, you know. So I had that fight, and I was like, right, I need out of here. I need to get my own career back in my own hands, and that's what I done. I left Frank off my own accord. Most people say he left him go and things like that. That's not the case at all. I got my coach.
What do you mean? They'd have had you fighting journeyman.
Yeah, and I was annoyed that I packed up my life again and moved to Manchester. It's not an easy thing to do, because I thought I was getting the big fights, the big names that Frank had.
You sound like you've been on the move the whole year.
You know, and being honest with you, Tommy, but younger years, that was a buzz and it was exciting. I'm 28 now, man. Do you know what I mean? It's not exciting anymore. You know, it isn't about all this anymore. I just want to fight, you know. And I'd signed with Frank and I didn't get that fight, and I got a bit annoyed about it, and I said, I'm going to leave and get my own career back on track. I like having control of it, because I didn't do too bad up until then.
Nah, and how'd you do that? How do you do?
The coach I was with, I said, look, will you ring Frank? He had a good relationship with him, and ask him, can I leave? There was no issues. Tell him thank you for everything. And next night I was a free agent again. So to cut back a bit, when I first signed professional, there was two things I only ever wanted to do. Look, I knew I was never going to be a Floyd Mayweather, bro. You know, I live in the real world. I get hit too much, but I can have a bit of a fight. If you want to follow someone that's going to, you know, train their arse off in the gym and go out in a shield in the ring, I'm that guy. I had two things I wanted to do. Because of all my early days of boxing and kickboxing and the support I got from my city, I always said I'm going to bring a big show home here as a professional boxer. So that was number one, and number two was fight on Sky Sports. So when I left Frank, I got in touch with a guy in my city, a promoter, Neil Power. Shout out to Neil Power. We put a plan in place, and next night the big homecoming was on the cards, April 8th this year, and what a night it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why you were kind of thinking about coming over.
Yeah.
So that was number one that I wanted to do. Neil Power delivered on
So you
all
only
the board.
left. So it's recently leaving Frank Warren, and literally you've done the two.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my own thing. I want to fight at home because I don't think anything beats fighting at home. You know, I was fighting in these arenas in Birmingham and that, and they were big and they were fancy looking, but nothing beats fighting in your home city. I swear, Tommy, I was driving to the arena that night with all my mates, all my family. It was special, man. I swear, it was worth everything I'd been and gone through. And like I say, shout out to Neil Power. He delivered on all accords. It was an amazing night. Everyone had a great night. I won, and what a buzz that was. You know, I was back in love with boxing again, and that brought us up to my last one. Off the back of that, I get a phone call.
So off the back of that win at home,
off the back of the homecoming, brought us to my fight last week. Dylan, do you want to fight Florian Marco on Sky Sports? You know, I couldn't say yes quick enough. And yeah,
he's a big name as well.
Big name. It's funny, I'd messaged him in 2021. You know, I watch all the boxing shows in the sitting room on my own at home, and I messaged him saying, Florian, after you beat this guy, we need to fight. He obviously never seen it, but he did when my name started circulating for me and him for the last one.
And then he looked and see your message.
Yeah. Then he looked. Then he looked and seen it. But yeah, and then last weekend, Tommy, it all came crashing down on me again, bro. You know, it is what it is.
Talk to me about that, the build up to the fight as well. It was a big build up, wasn't it?
It was crazy.
I see the videos were getting a lot of views, your head to heads.
Yeah.
I think your character was coming over. It was good to.
Yeah, it was crazy. Look, what an experience. Like I said, there was two things I wanted to do when I turned pro: the homecoming and fight on Sky Sports, and I'm glad I've got to do the two of them, you know, and all within 6 months. You know, it's after been a crazy few months, to be fair.
And without a manager.
Yeah, without a manager. You know, I like, how do I say it? Very grateful for the experience. I'm still trying to deal with how the fight ended. It's not easy. It's heartbreaking, bro. You know, I've been out here the last 2 weeks, and you know, people might be looking at social media and I've been putting up nice food and that, and it probably looks like Dylan's okay with it and Dylan's cracked on with his life. Man, I swear to God, it's been a hard 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? But you have to go as a man and deal with that and accept it and move on. I've been here before and everyone said it was over, and look what came after the loss in America. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm here now again, so I know what I have to do. That doesn't make it any easier, but I just need to process it.
This was the Eubank undercard.
Yeah, but Tommy, living the dream, bro. If I was to take the pros from it, and you know, in every negative situation there's a lot of pros and cons. The pros was, I watched my little brother have the time of his life. I watched my dad. He's only 14, three times Irish champion.
Is he?
Up and coming. And to have him there, like if I had have had that experience at that age, it would have been priceless. You know, I've gone on to do fairly okay without any of that. You know, I was blindfolded going into pro boxing. I just had to find my own feet. He's not going to have to do that. But I watched him in Manchester. He didn't stop smiling from the minute he got off the plane to the minute he got on it. So that is worth everything to me. To have my dad there, you know, we started off in the Garden Shed, bro, to being in the AO Arena in Manchester, chauffeured around. You seen the press conference and all that. So they're all the pros to it. The cons is, you know, it's a personal journey. You know, you have to be a bit selfish in boxing, and it is about me. You know, it's my life. And yeah, look, I said it to you earlier on. Had the fight went 7 or 8 rounds and Marco was too much for me, I can deal with that. It's just how it ended. Didn't even get going, like, you know. And yeah, that's the frustrating thing about it.
Yeah, it must be gutting, man.
Absolutely.
The build up. But you've had a lot of those build ups, it sounds like.
Absolutely gutting. But like I said, I've been here before, and it is what it is now. I said it to you over breakfast this morning. The only thing get me through it is, like, in the grand scheme of things, Dylan, you're not lying in a hospital bed. You've not been given 6 months to live. So what problems are really worth talking about?
This podcast is brought to you by Urban Scoop. Any support to carry on this work will be greatly appreciated. Please visit urbanscoop.news/support us. Thank you.
Yeah, where'd you go from here?
Where do I go from here? I'm getting that question a lot lately.
Do you read all the comments from people online? That's what I'd like to know. Do boxers sit and read through when do the comments affect them?
So when I first started off, I would have said I did, yeah, and they did affect me. I think I'm at a stage in my life now where I'm mature enough to not leave some person that have no input or benefit to my life have an effect on my day. And I'm glad to be able to say that, because 90% of the world can't. The whole day is ran by social media. Like I said to you earlier on, if a girl or a boy posts a photo on Instagram and it doesn't get a certain amount of likes, they're going to let that ruin their day. Why would you give that power to an app on your phone? Saying that, it's easier said than done.
When you're in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago, you were in the spotlight.
Yeah, and to be fair, I actually get a lot of support. People get behind me, but why I couldn't tell you. But I do get a lot of support, which is a good thing.
And the Irish always support them.
Yeah, I get great support, man. It's crazy, to be honest, and very grateful for it. But you do have your couple of bad comments, as you expect. But you know what, Tommy? If you're not getting them in this world, you're not doing enough. Yeah. And that's just how I look at it. You need to be getting them. When you're getting them, you know you're doing something right.
What is it? You have enemies. It's good. It means you stood up for something. That was church.
Yeah,
that was church.
You know what I mean? But yeah, at the moment, I'm just going to process what happened. I'm not in the mental space to go back to the gym yet, if I'm being honest, because I'm still hurting over it.
You've been training this morning?
Yeah, tipping away, just to get you through the day, keep the head fresh, keep you straight. But yeah, it still doesn't make it any easier. But like I said, I'll process it. I'll get back to the gym. Just need to keep the mind busy, especially with me. Like, a man's worst enemy is an idle mind. So I need to get the gloves on. I need to stick to what I know. I need to stick to my routine. And then as time goes by, I'll be okay with what's happened, and I'll get back in the gym and drive on, I'm sure.
Who knows what's coming next?
Who knows? That's the crazy thing about it.
Yeah.
And that's how I keep looking back at it. I remember how I felt after American. I thought that was it. I've blown it. Blown my chance. The whole country seen me get knocked out and all the hype behind me. Look what came after that. And you know what? Another way I look at it is, had I not got knocked out in America, Jake Paul would have not made that video. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
In a mad roundabout way. Yeah, so
it all leads to something.
It all leads to something, yeah. And at the moment, I can't see how last week is going to lead to anything. Because at the moment, but who knows what's to come.
And where do you want to be? Do you want to be in Ireland? Because you sound like you've been everywhere.
I'm at that stage now. I want to be at home, Tommy. Like I said to you, when I was growing up, I was consumed by social media. You wanted to be the popular guy, you wanted the cameras, you wanted the attention, you wanted all this, as every kid does, I think, growing up. But I've went there and I've kind of done all that now, and I realise it isn't the be all and end all. It actually means nothing, if I'm being honest. And I'm 28 years of age now. I'm delighted to be at home. I've linked up with an old coach of mine, Jimmy Payne. I'm back training with my dad. I'm able to help out with my little brother. And yeah, I'm happier back there than I've ever been. The buzz of running around Europe with a gear bag on my back, it's kind of gone. Back then, like, you were excited. I might meet Anthony Joshua. I might meet Tyson Fury. That stuff, like, excited you. I've done all that now. Just want to be at home. Want to put the work in. Have a couple of fights. Open a gym. And yeah, just get on with life.
You want to open your own gym?
Yeah, that was always the goal.
What, in Wexford?
Open my own gym in Waterford.
In Waterford,
open my own gym. But having said that, I'm not in a position to open a gym yet. I know there's a lot of my career left. I can feel it. I just have so much to give, and that's the frustrating thing about last Saturday. I've not got to give it.
Well, I was reading loads of comments. Lots of people were predicting that you're down boxing as well.
Yeah. Tommy, I still think...
I know you're an outsider, but I was reading lots of different...
I still believe, bro, 10 times out of 10 I beat him. Credit to the guy. He done what he done to me in the first round, but it's just, I didn't even get warmed up. It was just, I was back in the dressing room. I'm like, wow. There's no excuses. I had an amazing camp. I felt unbelievable. But it's just, the game is the game. Yeah. And I got caught. I watched it happen to so many other people, and I'm sure they had to deal with it just like how I'm dealing with it now. It's mad, isn't it? It's crazy.
Going. Talking about Ireland. You happy to talk about Ireland?
Yeah.
And because I went to Ireland recently. I went and made a film there.
Yeah, caused a bit of controversy.
Of course, controversy everywhere I go.
Follows you everywhere you go.
Everywhere I go, the headlines follow. It was insane, really.
Yeah.
The headline, and from the politicians. The politicians were literally trying to incite people to attack me if I'm on the streets, saying that I shouldn't be welcomed on the streets of Ireland.
Yeah.
My mum's Irish. And I was going there as a journalist. I didn't go there and incite hate or anything like that. I went there to find out what's actually happening in Ireland, because a lot of people are looking at Ireland, and I know there's a lot going on there. It's changed a lot over the last 2 years.
You're just sticking your nose in places people don't want you to really. That's what's going on, you know, and maybe something will come out that they don't want to come out. On these topics, I'm not really too educated on them, so I kind of keep my opinions to myself. But, like, I've done my homework on you before I come here. Yeah. What I always remember about you, and it showed me the power of social media, I said it to him actually, when you first came across my phone, got this, like, completely wrong idea of it because of social media, these short form edits that were just popping up. I was like, oh, who's this guy on? Why is he on about that? I was like, is he mad? But as time went by, I seen the longer form, and I seen your own stuff that you were putting out, and I was like, I actually agree with everything this guy is saying. And then I was going back in my head and I was thinking, like, look what media can do, if that makes sense. Look at what I put out, and I thought, this guy, don't like him at all, you know, I'd never sit and do a podcast with him. And as time goes by, I'm like, yo, I had that all wrong, and hence why I'm sat here. Does that make sense? That's how powerful it is.
It does, but then there'll be still some people who even will watch things and still have that opinion that you originally had, because they've been told how to think by the media. But the whole of Ireland was getting told, I'm anti-Irish. Then newspapers were running stories saying, oh, I hate the Irish. It's like, where have you got that from?
I know, and then there's the truth. Like, if you hated the Irish, I'm not going to be sat here.
That's it. My mum's Irish. I love the Irish.
You know what I'm saying? But, like, there's probably going to be controversy for me sat here, but I could never live my life based on the opinions of others. I'm happy to be sat here. I know why I'm sat here. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think more people need to do that. The way it works is whatever comes out in the local headlines at home and the newspaper, or be it on the news channel, people just believe it and they don't question it.
Yeah, they told it. And have you seen the change in your city?
I have, if I'm being honest. Go back 5-6 years ago, you knew where everyone was, who was living there, who this person was, who that person was. You drive through my town now and you see people that you've never seen in your life. You don't know what part of the world they're from. And yeah, there is a massive change there. But, like, how do I say it? What do you do about it?
I know it's happened quick and fast in Ireland. I think that's what's happened.
Yeah, but how do I say? Like, I respect what you're doing. You know.
Well, my thing is, all the Irish people I met just said that the people aren't being vetted, so we don't know who's coming in. So then people are fearful.
So I would totally disagree with that.
Yeah.
Of course, and I believe anyone would. Why would you leave anyone into your country that hasn't been vetted? You know, there's some lunatics in the world. In terms of the town and things like that, like what do you do about it? What power do the people actually have unless they come out in mass numbers? That's probably the only thing that would make a difference. Do you know what I mean? So when it comes to these things, I tend to kind of just crack on with my life. Do you know what I'm saying? And I know that isn't always the answer.
No, sometimes because it's a mad world. If you're concentrating on one thing, it's hard to concentrate on others. Cause the whole world's mad. Not just on the immigration issue, not just on COVID. Now we've got just on every aspect of life. It's clown world.
It's a mad rabbit hole, isn't it? And
it's a mad rabbit hole.
You could go on for days. And
I've been down it for years.
Yeah.
I can't get out. I'm 15 years in.
You know what it is, Tommy? You've got all these mad things, and I just live life, but I don't care what colour you are, what country you're from, what you believe in. You come to me, I got good energy off you, you're mannerly, you treat me with respect, you're going to get the same. Everything else is irrelevant. And when I live like that, life is pretty easy. You know, all that other stuff, because it's not my area, it's not my field of work. Do you know what I mean? I go to the gym, I mean well, I do well, but my friends, my family, myself, you know, judge me on that, and I sleep soundly at night.
Yeah, no, fair play. I just know that so many, even like the changes that are happening. What about locally in Ireland? Has there been any recognisable change with the? Have you seen the whole transgenderism issue, non-binary issue?
Yeah, I have seen all that.
Because these are things that were to some people they're a million miles away. You know? I'll tell you the story in a second.
Yeah.
What happened with my son, but I'm wondering if that's been my cousin. Where's my phone? My cousin sent me this. Look, my cousin's in Ireland. Yeah. I'll show you what she showed me. So I received this. I went to parents teachers meeting for my 15-year-old. This is the hallway. Yeah. So it's everything. The whole hallway is rainbows.
Yeah.
They're being taken out of their class and taught. So she said it. You know, there are so many kids in this school, in her child's school in Ireland, are non-binary or trans. I'm wondering if that's something you've seen in your
Yeah,
town.
it is coming to my town, and what's my opinion on that? My opinion on that is I'm not massively educated on the matter, and I think sometimes when you're not educated on a matter, you should just kind of, but I do know your younger years in your life, like everything I've been around, people I've been around, things I've seen, I've heard, in the environments I was in, they create who I've gone on to become, the man I am today. And if kids are listening to that at them years, in 20 years' time, what kind of a generation are we going to have? I think it's going to be pretty messed up.
I got a phone call from my son's school, and they said there's been an incident at school today. My son's Spencer, he's 14. There's been an incident at school today. I said, okay, what's happened? So a pupil's on the floor crying. Yeah, your son has gone over to the pupil and said, "Is she okay?" At which point, 2 other pupils have turned around and said, "It's not a she." Yeah, he's misgendered. Okay. At which point, so they've basically been abusive to my son, who's gone over to help this little girl. So then he said, "It is a she. It's a girl." And they said, it's not a girl. And then at which point the teacher said, "Now this is where we have a big problem." At which point your son asks, "Has she got a penis?" Yeah?
All right.
I said, okay. I said, "Has she got a penis?" And my son's in isolation. So for this, my son's in isolation. Yeah? So I said, you've put my son in isolation because he's gone over to help a girl on the floor. Can we just confirm that he went over because a girl was crying? He said, yeah. I said, can I ask you another question? There's 450 kids in that year at school. There's 60 trans, 60 now. Yeah. And I said, have you told the school pupils who's now identifies as boys or girls? He said, no. I said, so there's no way that my son knows when he's walked over to that girl. Can I ask you another question? Does it look like a girl? He said, yeah.
Yeah.
I said, this is fucking absolute clown world. I said, get my son out of that classroom now. I'm coming to collect him. I said, the 2 girls, because she says that the other, they're all trans. They all identify as trans. The others then started swearing at my son. Yeah. They started swearing at my son. And then, so I said, are they in isolation? Are any other pupils in isolation? He said, no. I said, so why is my son in isolation for trying to help a girl who's on the floor? Because he's misgendered them. Because of hate crime. It's like, are you for real? But what sort of world is that? How does a 14-year-old boy growing up in school, how are they going to deal with this mess that they've created?
I can't even comprehend it, to be honest with you. Like the story
it's
that you just
mad,
said
isn't it?
from when I used to go to
when
school.
I was at school.
It's not so long ago.
No, it's 10 years ago.
But what I worry is, what kind of a generation are we going to have in 20 years when they're being brought up listening to that? And where's it all come from? What's it about? Like, is there an agenda with it? What is it? My opinion on it, like, the only bit I touch on is gay. Like, if my best friend comes to me and says he's gay, I'm like, sweet, it's none of my business. We're going to get a coffee. It's your own business. Like, and men are men and girls are girls. And next time all this transgenderism has come in, and like I said, I'm not really educated on the matter, but it just sounds like a load of madness. And like, they should really just leave the kids alone, man, because that is crazy.
7-year-old not, like, I see some parent the other day, my 7-year-old's non-binary. It's like, no, your 7-year-old's not non-binary. You're suffering from mental health, and now you're inflicting that on your pupil. But all of these kids, so my son even says, all the kids that are identified as trans are all self-harmers, are all not well. They're all, none of them. And then, so then after that, there's another issue in the school, because this teacher rings up and says, your son keeps saying that he wants to transgender. He keeps shouting out that he wants to transgender in class, and it's a problem. So then I said, okay, that is a I said, why is he saying that? He goes, he's just like taking the piss.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, I'll talk to him. So when I got home, he said, Dad, the trans kids get to wear headphones. Yeah. So then I rang the school and said, do the trans kids get to wear headphones in class? He said, well, some of them have issues, so we have certain things. I said, so you're giving a special treatment to children who are transgendering, that they can wear headphones and their own jumpers. Of course my son's going to say he wants transgender. Of course he is. Because then he wants to wear his headphones.
But even for all that to be going on in your son's
head, in his head at 14.
It's just all mad that we're even talking about it.
He comes home like, Dad.
The whole situation is crazy, like. And that's what I'm saying to you. Where are we going to be in 20 years? What do you see in 20 years, like?
A very weak population.
Yeah, proper diluted.
Diluted to hell.
Yeah, crazy, like.
Of weak. What advice would you give any young lads? So you've had not a conventional career. You've had ups, downs. What would you give? What advice would you give young lads who are looking up to
So
you?
I would be very morally correct, Tommy. Sometimes that works far and against me. Like, if I'm your friend, I'm your friend. Very loyal, very respectful. You know, don't try and be the cool guy, but be the good guy. You know, it took me years to learn that. And, you know, just be yourself, get in the gym, work hard. You know, I always just try and push on everyone. If you're exercising and you're eating right food, life will automatically become a whole lot
Everything
easy.
falls
Everything
into
will
place.
fall into place after that. That's my first advice. And after that, just be a good person. You know, I remember the years when I was growing up, you wanted to be the tough guy. I think as every young fella wants to be, and man, that gets you nowhere. It's a long road to nowhere, really. And you know, when I start being myself and just being a good person, like I said, I'm a loyal guy. I keep my circle small. A bit of an introvert, me, you wouldn't think it. Life becomes a whole lot easier. So do well, mean well, and just help where and when you can.
And where will you box again?
At the moment, I don't know. Like I said, I'm still processing what happened last week, but I'm going to deal with that. You know, I've been here before. I'm not looking for no pity party because I don't want one. I never wanted one. I'll process it, and I'm sure, as always, in a week, maybe a month, you get that itch, and it's like, I'm getting my bag and I'm going back to the gym. But I can tell you this much, Tommy, Dylan Moran's career is far from over.
Yeah, wicked, man. I've enjoyed talking to you, bro.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Cheers. No, thanks a lot. Cheers. And good luck. If you're watching this, you know we're censored, we're blacklisted. We rely on you to produce our content, and we rely on you to get our message out. So please like, share and subscribe. Carry on watching for more interesting guests. I'll talk to anyone. I'll debate anyone. I'll hear anyone's story. If you want to help me along that way, it's not free. I need your support. If you can support my family, that gives me my peace of mind. It means I can continue to do the work I do. You can do so at www.supporttommy.com. I appreciate every bit of support, as do my children. It gives me the ability to fly them out here to see me so I can stay in constant contact with them. I'm deplatformed and I'm censored, so I need you. I need you to share this content, and make sure you stay tuned for upcoming weekly guests, interesting guests, exciting guests. I'm Tom Robson, and this has been my podcast, Silence.